Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. Last week we made a video regarding a recent announcement by the Revenue Department wherein they basically changed some liability rules effectively regarding the timing of how money comes into Thailand versus when it was acquired. Not going to get into super deep analysis on that in this video because I've already talked about it, and in my mind we're still lacking some clarification on some of the finer points that I do believe will be forthcoming as we progress through the end of this year. So to that point, at least for the time being, to my mind, this is yet to be settled. We've yet to see how this all shakes out. Now, to the title of the video, should retirees be concerned about this? Should they be worried about this change the rules? I think the vast majority of retirees here in Thailand are going to be completely unaffected by this, quite honestly, because again, assessable income, earned income, all of the permutations on the spectrum between those two definitions, I've yet to see that fully parsed out. And I've been, this past week sitting down talking with our tax people, our accountants and things, and they've sort of said, look, there's some gray areas and things. One clear thing that we know now is the former sort of deferral mechanism wherein you just sort of waited between the time money was accrued. Now that's my word, accrued, as opposed to earned, unearned, assessable income, whatever. Let's just say funds that came into your possession. Let's just keep it as broad as possible. Just to be on the safe side, a lot of folks would say they just kind of buffer it. They'd wait and bring in money after the calendars had passed in such a way that tax liability would not be assessed against them per Thai law. That loophole, quote unquote, I hate the word loophole, but that particular provision has now been nullified effectively, and they've said, look, moving forward from January 1, 2024, we're no longer going to have a different analysis regarding tax liability if something was accrued a year prior to when it was brought in the country. We're no longer going to make that differentiation between the types of funds that come in. We're going to presume tax liability whenever it was accrued. There's not going to be this timing differentiation, this buffer, if you will, this deferral where, okay, if you bring it in a year later, you're not going to get taxed on it. We're no longer going to allow that. That's what we know. Now, as far as how this impacts, again, as we've discussed in other videos, the double tax treaty is one, there's various double tax treaties. I'm making another video contemporaneously with this one, just talking generally about double tax treaties, but they are different. There is no uniform double tax treaty. Different countries have different agreements with Thailand in treaty form that, preclude certain taxation of certain things. Again, I've read a number of articles recently on this topic. There's some that have some really great information in there. A lot of misconceptions floating around out there. I can't go out and sort of dispel every single one, but one thing that I am confident of at this point is that for the most part, I don't think most retirees are going to be overly impacted by this. I just don't. And the reason I think that is because most don't actually have the kind of income, the kind of financial circumstances that are even going to warrant this tax issue being applied to them. I think probably 80% of the retirees in Thailand just don't have that issue as something that's going to particularly affect them. I will get into it deeper as time goes forward, as we continue to sort of assess and see how this is going to actually be applied. For now, I'm not trying to be vague, but the fact of the matter is it was just announced. It's kind of a perfunctory announcement. We're presuming there's going to be another announcement made, specifically likely something akin to a rule, regulation, or law promulgated, which will come from the Royal Gazette and which will provide more clarification. That said, it may not come, and if it doesn't, we may learn how this plays out in a practical manner just through experience. At the end of the day, that's kind of how law works, is you sort of learn, especially when it changes, you learn how those changes are going to be applied in real time as they are actually, as those matters are actually adjudicated. So we'll certainly keep you updated on this channel as the situation evolves.